the meaning of the word torment. It was ben sendos, which is a Greek word that means to be remorseful. It is emotional stress. It is not physical stress. It is a word that relates to the testing and the proving of one. That is what that word means when it says torment. And the flame it was not flames, but it was flame. In other words, it was the trial that the rich man was experiencing. Now, what we can do is we can take the story of the rich man and Lazarus, and we can use it as Jesus is teaching about the Pharisees and how they are considered the rich man in this. The Pharisees, who were considered the rich man, were clothed in purple. They had everything. They had the law. They had Moses, as Abraham said in the parable. You had Moses and the prophets. They had the synagogue. They had all the riches of the kingdom of God. They had everything needed to really get to know God, but they did not. And Jesus came to his own. He came to his own, which were the Jews, and his own received him not. So what happens is that then he turns to those who will accept him. He turns to the beggars. Some scholars feel that the beggars are the Gentiles who will switch places with the Jews in the kingdom of God, in the final analysis of things. They will be the favored ones, while the Jews, especially those like the Pharisees, will not be favored. The tables will turn, where the Gentiles, who are the beggars now, will not be begging then. And so, and that concept is in Jesus' teachings. And also, in Jesus' teachings about the Pharisees, there's always a time of grief for what they've done and for their loss, such as in the case of the weeping and gnashing of teeth. That is the grief that the Jews will go through, the remorse that they will go through, because they rejected their opportunity and they blew all that they had. And so there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And this remorse of this rich man is equivalent to that, and probably the same thing that the Jews will experience during the tribulation period, and during the maybe during the destruction of Jerusalem. The remorse that they will experience, they will become poor because they did not accept the position. They did not use their wealth, their access properly, and so they will end up in remorse. They will end up in remorse in the tribulation period. This is the indirect connection with the weeping and gnashing of teeth that was talked about by Jesus. This is also the relationship of the being thrown into Gehenna and to being there where the worm never dies and the fire is not quenched. This chastisement of the tribulation period and of all of the persecutions is not a chastisement that would destroy Israel. So this is the reason why in the concept of the text, it is not speaking of a chastisement that would destroy, but a chastisement that will make one shame and reprove. This is why the word talks about chastisement. The word torment is connected with the word chastisement, because this is not the end of it, but this is the way they come out because of their rejection of Christ. And therefore, those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, whether it be the Gentiles or whether it be the poor Jews that follow, they end up in the presence of God and accepted in the kingdom. Because Jesus told them, said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for they shall see God. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And I believe that's consistent with those ideas and that this meaning of this passage run along the lines of that as Jesus taught. Because in these parables, he talks about the rich man in three parables, and this is a part of the third one. And he is speaking to the Jews, the poor Jews, in parables. And he said on one occasion that he speaks in parables so those whose ears are heavy and whose eyes are blinded, they can't see. It's not intended for them to see. And so they will continue in their stupor, and they will receive the just reward of their stupor. And this is how, this is when the tables will be changed from the seekers, those Gentiles who want after it, and for those poor Jews who want after it, they shall be, they shall inherit the kingdom. And Lazarus is a symbol of the inheritance of the kingdom by the poor. And so this is a message of Jesus to the Jews. It is not pertaining to any one individual's eternal destiny to heaven or hell, but it's a message that he was giving to the Pharisees and to the poor Jews concerning how things will change in the end. What we have just studied is the theological perspective that the rich man is the Pharisees and the poor man is the Gentiles, or the poor Jews that follow Jesus, who will be satisfied, who will receive the kingdom, who will be honored, who will be comforted. But the Jews will go through great tribulations of remorse and torment, and will be regretful and will weep and will gnash their teeth in regret for what they have done and what they have missed out on. This is consistent with the teaching of Jesus, and it is a perspective among theologians of the evaluation of this passage in Luke 16, 19 through 31, the rich man and Lazarus.